Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. I'm Helen with ADU1, part of One Structural Inc. Our divisions are ADU1, Retrofit 1, and Balcony 1. Three individual niches that I think work very cohesively together, which is very nice, primarily serving multifamily buildings and multifamily communities, condos, HOAs, or just even individual buildings. And we also serve single family homes at the same time, wherever our services are needed. So thank you again for joining us. Today, we will be continuing our ADU1 City Spotlight webinars. This week, we are covering the awesome area of Anaheim, California. So I will be getting into all of the ADU rules and guidelines for single-family homes and multifamily properties. If you are coming from our flyer, just as the flyer says, even if your property is not in Anaheim, please stick around because most, if not all of the rules still apply because they're all taken from the same place, which is the state law and the state handbook about the ADU rules. Anything particular or very specific to Anaheim, I will point out. So if you do have a property there, or if you don't want to associate with that specific rule, and usually it's something small, maybe a square footage or something like that, I will point it out. Otherwise, it is the same for everybody. So I will share my screen and I will pull directly from the municipal code of the city. So that way, if you are referencing it later, you can view the same exact one. And if you have any questions, please just type it in the chat. I will get to them periodically. And when I'm done with the ADU portion, I will do a brief segment on the balcony inspections, the balcony and deck inspections per SB 326 and SB 721. You could reach us here for any of our departments. The numbers all reach the same office. So you can reach us here for email or phone for any of our divisions, seismic retrofit, the ADUs, or the balconies. So without further ado, I will share my screen. And let's see. Here we are. I will check to make sure you can see it. Yes, you can. Let's go back to the screen. Let me just go to the beginning of it. Let me see. Here we are. So it's section 1838015, ADUs and junior ADUs. And again, this is for Anaheim, California. So let's begin. So this ordinance kind of jumps in. They all have their main definitions and everything, which I'll explain as we go. But this one actually starts with multifamily properties. And it's very brief here. So if I do see any other details particular to Anaheim regarding the multifamily zones, I will let you know. So for multifamily properties, and from what I reviewed last night, these are exactly the same from the state for most cities. I'll point out any differences. So for multifamily properties, you are permitted to do the at least one attached, aka conversion, I'll explain in a second, or up to 25% of the existing units. That 25% rule refers to one of the types of ADUs that you do. I guess I'll preface all of this with the types that you can do before getting into these details. So for all properties, the ADUs, the two configurations are called attached and detached ADUs. What this means for multifamily properties. For multifamily properties, attached is only referring to internal conversions. Existing space within the primary building or attached to existing already, you can convert uninhabited space such as a garage, an attached carport, a passageway, boiler room, basement, storage rooms. So something that's already within the envelope or the footprint of the main building that's uninhabited, you can convert under the attached configuration. This is where that 25% rule for multifamily properties kicks in. So let's say a duplex to 7 units, you can do that at least one. So if you have a storage room or an attached garage or something like that, you can convert that space into one. Even if you have a storage room and the garage and a rec room, you can only do one under the 25% rule. The 25% rule really takes notice after 8 units. If you have 8, 9, 10, 11 units, you can do 2 conversions under the attached configuration. Once you hit 12 units, you can do 3. And it's always rounded down. So if you have 11, you can still just do 2. If you have 13, you can still do 3, and so forth. For single family homes, the attached style has, an addition, pun intended, definition. So what you can do for a single family home are the same type of internal conversions as described for the multifamily, but you can also do an addition. So you can build new construction that's attached to the house, and different from a standard addition that you can see is that it will, as an ADU, it has to have its own separate entryway from the outside, an exterior entryway, its own kitchen, bathroom for an ADU. So that's the difference between a single family home addition configuration or attached configuration versus multifamily. Single family home can do it as an addition, whereas multifamily homes, you cannot do new construction and attach it to the main building. You are not allowed to change the existing envelope of your multifamily building. You can only do the internal conversion, or the next configuration I'll describe is called detached. So under the detached rule, these are pretty much the same for both. You can either do a conversion of an existing legal accessory structure that's detached from the building or the house, such as a detached garage, a detached storage room, detached rec room, something like that. As long as, again, it's a legally and permitted structure, you can convert those as is. Or you can build new construction. If you have space on your lot or land, you can just do a ground up new construction unit. If your city allows, you can build on top or like attached to that accessory structure. Some cities allow it, some don't. So we will get into what Anaheim allows if they go into that detail. But those are the different types of the detached configuration. So back into multifamily, you can do the 25% under the attached configuration, which again pertains to your existing number of units. Or actually, I think I didn't see an or, so excuse me for saying that. And you can do not more than 2 detached ADUs for multifamily properties. Again, I don't see an or, so at least from their municipal code, it does not show that they're making you choose either or of the multifamily attached or detached configurations. At least from the language they're using here, it looks like you can do both. And again, I would say that is particular to Anaheim because more and more cities, unfortunately for multifamily properties, are using the word or and making you choose either attached or detached. In this case, I don't see that word, and it really does come down to those details or just what the planner says at the end of the day. But at least for now, based on the code, it looks like you can do both. So let's say you have an 8-unit building with an attached garage and a backyard. You could technically turn that garage, if it's large enough, into 2 units based on the 25% attached rule. And if you have a large enough backyard to conform to the required setbacks, which I will get into, and the building separation, then you can put up to 2 detached units on the property. That gives you a total of 4 more units on this 8-unit building. So that's just an example for multifamily of using both the attached and detached configurations. So it looks like as far as density goes, since let's say you do have an 8-unit building and you could potentially put those 4, would those 4 units pass any kind of density and zoning requirements? So it's saying here that an ADU that conforms to the requirements of this section, like based on those rules, shall not be considered to exceed the allowable density for the lot. So that's interesting. Let's see. And then when it comes down to ADUs for a single family home, these are the same rules all across California, not more than one ADU and one junior ADU. So an ADU is, in case you're here and this is all brand new to you, ADU, accessory dwelling unit, it is a kind of separate living dwelling unit, basically, with its own, what's it called, independent kind of living facilities. You'll have your own kitchen, own bath, exterior entrance. So it's not dependent on anything from the main building or anything like that, except when you're going to a junior ADU. A junior ADU is a little bit different. They may go into it, but I'll just say it anyways. So a junior ADU is basically what it sounds like. It's a kind of more, it's a smaller version of an ADU. You could, in some cases, you are capped at 500 square feet. So that actually might be bigger than some regular ADUs anyway. So I don't want to say smaller, but it has its own rules. You're limited to 500 square feet or less. They are only permitted in single family homes. They must be part of the main house. They cannot be new construction. They cannot be detached from the home. You can't build them and then attach them to the house. They have to be within the existing footprint of the single family home. And they can be, in most cases, the attached garage. You can convert that. Again, limited to 500 square feet. It has to have its own exterior entrance. However, what junior ADUs do not have to have, they do not have to have their own bathroom. So they do have to have at least an efficiency kitchen, I believe, but they can share bathroom facilities with the main house, which means you would still have to have a connecting entryway in between the junior ADU to the house. I guess in this case, it would be fine if, family is going to stay there, parents, children, something like that. Or if you're just very social and don't mind a tenant sharing your bathroom either. Who knows? Do what you wish as long as it's legal. And those are the rules for the junior ADU. The only conditions, usually, and I'll see what what Anaheim says, some cities sometimes require, if you do have a junior ADU, which again has to be part of your house, then the ADU has to be detached. I very rarely see cities that allow them all to be part of the same structure. So we shall see. Let's see. So one thing I did notice that Anaheim is putting a strong emphasis on, this part right here, 0.0501, it says that if Anaheim identifies any area to have insufficient sewer infrastructure, and the ADU would negatively impact public health or safety, then you will not be allowed to do the ADU there. And I have a couple other windows open. I don't know if you will be able to see this. Let me see. Yeah, okay, you cannot see it, but you know what? Let me share it anyways. I'm going to do that. I'm going to share a different screen right now, just so you can see exactly what they're, I think this is it. Yes, so hopefully you can see this. I will enlarge my screen. So this is what you have to submit when you're submitting your plans. And number one is the sewer deficiency verification. So you do have to get written verification from the Public Works Department, verifying the sewer capacity that it can handle and sustain an ADU. So there is strong emphasis in Anaheim. So this is something very particular to Anaheim. Although, most cities have this too, especially when it comes to like septic tanks. Some allow ADUs on properties with septic tanks, some do not. So this is one particular to Anaheim, that you do need written verification from Public Works that there is sewer capacity for your ADU. Otherwise, you will not be permitted to add one. Unless maybe you upgrade the sewer, but I can only imagine that would be extremely expensive. So let me go back to sharing the ordinance. Oh, here is a different screen. This is their actual ordinance. It's the same as their municipal code. Let me go. Sorry, I just want to share the from the direct website instead. Here it is. So yeah, they have the same exact table, which I will get into. So these are the development standards. So now we'll get into sizing. What size can I do? So the junior ADU is already described, does have a maximum of 500 square feet. The minimum is 150 square feet. So if you have an attached garage and it's a single space, that may be around 150, maybe 180. You can do that for the junior ADU. Let's see. And they do allow you to add up to 150 square feet to the existing structure if it's for ingress or egress purposes. But the overall unit size cannot exceed 500. And again, this is for junior ADU. And another requirement for junior ADUs, if you do this, is that there is owner occupancy requirements. The owner must live in either the main house or the junior ADU if you have a junior ADU permitted on your property. That is not the case for ADUs. All owner occupancy requirements have been, I would say, paused at least until 2025. So if you get your ADU permitted prior to 2025, there are no owner occupancy requirements. That is only for junior ADUs. For a regular ADU, the maximum is 800 square feet. And this looks like it is for, let's see. I would think, let me see, it just gets a little tricky right now when it's saying 800, but then a detached is 1200 square feet. And then attached, let's see, 50% of the main dwelling or 1200 square feet, whichever is less. So this may be referring to multifamily properties. However, the 50% rule also still applies to single family homes, especially when you are going to do the attached configuration as the new construction and attach it to the structure. That is where I see the 50% of the main dwelling unit rule apply for single family homes. It normally is irrelevant for multifamily properties because multifamily properties are much larger, and you're going to get capped at the 1200 square feet anyways by the time you typically reach 50% of your multifamily building size. So 800, I'll have to verify what they're capping you at 800, since in this case they're saying or 1200, unless this one's for multifamily and this one is for attached. But the 50%, let's say you have a 2,000 square foot home and you're doing an attached ADU, you would be capped at 1,000 square feet. If you have a 1,600 square foot house and you want to do new construction and attach it, you would be capped at 800 square feet and so forth. But a detached ADU is the max for 1,200. So this is something that I would say is specific to Anaheim, although the detached, this 1,200 number is commonly seen throughout other cities. However, the 800 square feet is a little specific to Anaheim. A couple cities say that as well. But normally the most common maximums I've been seeing for ADUs have been between 1,000 and 1,200 square feet. The minimums, 150. This is something specific to Anaheim, as well as I would say most cities. The minimum is 150 square feet. There are a few cities that their minimums are 220 square feet. So if you would like us to check what your cities is, just let me know, or also hop on to any of my other videos in case I've already covered your city. Let's see. Lot coverage requirements. In certain cases, it's not applicable, or the standards of the zone shall apply. Your setbacks across the board. So normally if you are converting existing space and it's a legally permitted structure, you're fine. You don't have to worry about bringing it in or anything like that. New construction always has to conform to setbacks, whether it's on the ground floor, if your city allows a second story, you still have to be 4 feet in from the side property lines and 4 feet from your rear property line. And in this case, in Anaheim, which most cities also say, a detached ADU shall be located no closer to the front property line than basically your frontmost edge of the building. Mhm. Okay. Right. Yeah. So it's basically just saying that conversions, you don't have to worry about it, but your front setbacks apply, and side are 4 feet and rear are 4 feet. Let's see. Okay. So this is nice. The height in Anaheim. This is something very specific to Anaheim because all cities have different height allowances or restrictions. If it's attached or a conversion, it's whatever that legal structure already is. Detached says 16 feet or height of the main dwelling unit, whichever is greater. I love the part about whichever is greater. That way, if you have a 2-story house or a 2 or 3-story building, it looks like you can do a detached 2-story structure, which is awesome. Or whichever is greater. I mean, if you have a 3-story building, I have yet to see anybody approve a 3-story ADU. So I don't want to jump to conclusions and say that they would allow that. But I would hope that they would at least allow 2-story ADUs in Anaheim, as long as your main building is. If you have a single-story building or house, then your height limit would be 16 feet. Or if your single story is like 18 feet or something like that, that would be the maximum. Building separation. This is something very specific to Anaheim. It has a minimum building separation of 10 feet. So that means all new construction has to be at least 10 feet away from your house or the building. Other cities have a building separation requirement of 6 feet. There are a few that say 10. I've even seen some OC cities say 15 feet. So 10 feet is specific to Anaheim and a couple of other cities. The most common one I see is 6 feet, but again, in Anaheim, it is 10 feet. So to give you kind of a mental idea, let's say you're building in your backyard. Make sure you're calculating, if you're just trying to get an idea for your buildable space, 10 feet from your house or building and 4 feet from the back. So that's already 14 feet of a reduction, minus 8 total because of 4 feet from each side. So you lose 14 feet front and back and 8 feet side to side, and then you'll see what your building space is. Unless, of course, they also make you count your lot coverage requirements, then you would have to. But if you're building 2 stories, that usually helps. So it's the same for detached, multifamily, or single family. Access, they all have to have their own exterior access. They all have to have at least minimum efficiency kitchens. And then this is where it describes the JADU, that it can share a bathroom with the main dwelling. And of course, if it does, you have to have interior access. You can't make them go around and pound on the door to use the bathroom. So in that case, those are the rules basically for the ADUs. Let's see, anything else? I mean, they don't want any exterior stairs to be visible from public right of ways. So we would take that into consideration when doing the design. We would make the ADU match the exterior architectural look of the main building or house. Parking, of course. This goes for all of California. If you are converting a garage or carport for the purpose of parking, you do not have to replace those parking spots. And if your home is within a half mile to public transit, such as a bus stop, you do not have to add additional parking. So most places or most properties meet those requirements. If you're a house and you are not within a half mile of public transportation, you're doing new construction, normally they will allow a driveway spot to count as parking. And normally, again, especially since this is Anaheim, which of course, there's a lot of hotels, motels because of Disney and stuff like that. Unfortunately, ADUs are not permitted to do short-term rentals. So if you have that in mind for a property in Anaheim to do Airbnb or something like that because of Disney and other attractions, legally, short-term rentals under 30 or 31 days are not permitted. This is across the board all around California. Nor can you sell your ADU separately. So that is all I'm going to get into for today about Anaheim and their ADUs. So again, if you have any questions, please let me know on the side. Otherwise, I will quickly and briefly go over your balcony inspections. So in 2019, SB 326 and SB 721, also known as the balcony inspection law or the deck inspection law, something like that, were passed. Requiring all buildings with 3 or more units, this is for condos, HOAs, or regular apartment buildings, to have your balconies, decks, stairways, catwalks, walkways, handrails, all known as exterior elevated elements. You must have those inspected. It's mainly to check for water damage, waterproofing, and your structural elements, your flashings, the joists, any wood, stuff like that, to check for any moisture, any damage, any cracks, anything that could impair the integrity of your structure. And this was based on the accident that happened, I believe, in 2015 in Berkeley, where a balcony did collapse and many students passed away or were severely injured. So because of that, and as you may have seen, I think it was recent in Malibu, a big deck or balcony collapsing. So the rules with this are that for apartments, you have to have at least 15% of each type of element inspected. So 15% of your stairs, 15% of small balconies, 15% of large balconies, 15% of walkways, handrails inspected, and a report attached with that, which we do provide. We do the inspections. They're minimally invasive inspections. We open a borehole, I believe it's called, with a camera. It detects moisture. We have moisture meters as well. And we're also restoration experts. So we can detect any type of damage, water damage, or anything that can mess with the structure of the element. And we would put all of that, photos, reports, observations, everything in this report. And you are required to keep this report with you every inspection cycle. If we do see in our inspection any significant damage or anything, depending on the severity of it, if it would put the residents or tenants in imminent danger, there's a certain timeline where you have to get that fixed. If it is less severe but should get addressed, you have a longer timeline to address that, and you take care of it and you keep that report with you until the next cycle. So that's basically it. The elements that do have to get inspected have to be at least 6 feet up from the ground. If there are less, then they do not have to get inspected. So we do both the inspections and repairs. If you need any design plans or anything like that, if you want to redo them, we also do that. And we're also offering a special, especially let's say you're a smaller building, you just have like 1 or 2 balconies and you don't even want to deal with this. We do have a special where we will remove your balcony and replace that hole. If it's a slider or something like that, we will replace it with a brand new window. So that way you don't have to worry about any of these inspections. So if you're also interested in that, we do have a special going on right now that we can do that. Any type of balcony removal where we will repair the stucco, everything on the outer edge, and put in a new window instead. And then you don't have to worry about any of these inspections or liability or anything like that ever again, at least with regards to the balcony. So if you have any questions about that, or you want to meet on site or have a proposal or any quote or inspection, give us a call. If you just want to reach us directly there, the number is super easy, 323-BALCONY, which I'll put in here. You can also just remember it, 323-BALCONY. But even if you call us right here, you will still reach our balcony department anyways. So that about does it for Anaheim ADUs and the balcony inspections. We offer both your engineering phase, plan submission to the city, dealing with the corrections and the back and forth, all of that until your plans are approved and your permit is RTI, ready to issue. So we take care of all of that for you. We project manage everything. And then of course, we're a full scope construction company. So we do all of the construction as well. And for balconies, we do your inspection and repairs. So give us a call, email us if you have any questions or want to meet or would like a free quote or estimate, and we are happy to help. So thank you again. I'm Helen with One Structural, also known as ADU1, Retrofit 1, and Balcony 1. So thank you again for joining us, and I will see you next time.